I'm Melanie Leach, Chief Executive of the BPF, the British Property Federation, and I'm just going to close the conference with a few reflections on some of the sessions that I've been involved in, and a little bit about what the BPF is doing in response to some of the challenges we've been talking about. I guess what came through really clearly is that everybody who's spoken through the conference believes in the imperative of taking action. Everybody believes in the importance of really rising to the sustainability challenge, to the challenge to reach net zero carbon by 2050. And in many cases, people talked about the fact that they put much more ambitious strategies than that in place and much more ambitious targets. Everybody recognises that the role of real estate in rising to the sustainability challenges is critical, given that we account for around about 40% of global carbon emissions. So this is real, this is present, and this is here to stay, and this is absolutely embedded in the business strategies across the real estate sector. And what was really striking, I think, was that we talked a little bit about the impact that COVID has had over the last few months, and devastating though that has been to all parts of the economy, and major though the impact of that has been on all the businesses that I talked to and have been part of this summit, actually it hasn't deterred that ambition and that determination to focus on and rise to the challenges of sustainability. Real estate's a long-term business. Decisions are taken for the long term. Chris Grigg, for example, in British Land, they've set their sustainability target at 2030 rather than 2050. He just thinks that 2030 will be here in the blink of an eye. It's only 10 years away. So actually, their focus, their commitment to their strategy has been undiminished, notwithstanding the challenges they faced across all parts of their portfolio in dealing with the short-term impact of coronavirus. And I heard similar things from the other real estate leaders that I talked to over the course of the summit. What was also really, really clear is that commitment, that drive towards creating sustainability strategies is very much led from the top. It's the leadership that came through was extraordinary. I think the passion, the commitment, whether that was Chris talking about the British Land 2030 sustainability strategy, whether that was Duncan Owen of Schroders talking about their approach and their drive and their passion to embed this in their business, whether it was Maddie McDougall from Lloyds talking about how they've used the leverage of the bank in order to create a green lending initiative, green buildings tool to help their customers to understand what they can do to make their businesses more sustainable. And similarly from David Partridge, thinking about King's Cross and the real exemplar project that is, or Emma McKenzie talking about the challenges of dealing with an ageing stock, an existing stock and retrofit, but also how they also have a real opportunity to engage with their customers in order to drive sustainability principles and a commitment through their business. So that was another thing that really struck me through the day. Another thing was that this imperative is coming from all directions. Yes, leadership is important, but actually it's coming from staff too. People want to work in businesses that they know and believe share their values and are committed to rising to the sustainability challenge. So it's coming from people within businesses, it's coming from staff, it's coming from investors. So people increasingly want to place their money where they know it will not only do no harm, but actually do good, be a positive force for driving change. Coming from shareholders, it's coming from customers, right across the piece it's coming. So people in individual communities looking to the developers, the investors, the stakeholders that come into their communities and saying, what's the legacy you're going to leave? What is the lasting positive impact you're going to have with us? And businesses equally keen to demonstrate that and to live those values in practice. That, I think, really enabled some of the people I talked to draw a contrast between the global financial crisis and today. We saw before the global financial crisis that sustainability was top of the agenda. As we came out of it, it had dropped some way down. I don't have any sense that that's true this time. I think this time sustainability has remained at the top of the agenda and will do, notwithstanding the challenges of dealing with COVID. And that was really encouraging, I think, to hear. So the other thing that I think I wanted to highlight is that this is a journey, not a destination. Yes, we do have the 2050 net zero target, but actually becoming more sustainable as businesses, rising to the environmental challenges, but also to the social challenges, and understanding and living in practice what it means to be a good business, being a force for good in the modern world is a journey. So everybody can take part in that journey. You know, every business can be helped. to make steps along that journey, even if they think it's only for big companies or only for companies with a lot of money to invest. That's absolutely not the case. Everybody needs to be on this journey, and it is a continuing journey. None of the people I talked to felt that there will be a time at which they felt they had done enough in order to rise to all of the ESG challenges. They all felt they were on a journey and that they wanted to continue to evolve and to continue to find new ways to innovate, to rise to those challenges, to respond to the calls coming from people, whether it's their own staff, whether it's their customers, their shareholders, or their suppliers and the people that they collaborate and work with. So this is a journey, not a destination. And that's where I think the role of organisations like the British Property Federation, like the UK Green Buildings Council and others comes in. We can help to bring people together, to share experience, to collaborate, to learn from each other, to help everybody to have the confidence to start out on that journey. And that's why I think events like the summit are so important too, because they allow us to share views. They allow us to express that nervousness in some cases about how you start on the journey, but also to understand that there is lots of good practice we can learn from, there is lots of support out there, and that the journey will continue to evolve. So what we're doing at the BPF is to try to live those values and try to enable that conversation across the whole industry and with our members through redefining real estate, which is our four-pillared approach to driving greater social value and greater positive impact by the real estate industry across the country. Sustainability is a core principle and core pillar of that four, and we're really committed to working with our partners to drive that agenda. We think it's equally important to drive the agenda around the positive impact of local communities. We know that the real estate industry hasn't got a great reputation. We're not particularly trusted. Actually, no one is trusted in the development process. Local authorities aren't particularly trusted either. Too often communities feel that things are being done to them with no benefit to them, rather than that people come in to develop, to create better places that they will benefit from, that they can feel proud of, and that they will have a lasting value in return from. And we need to change that perception, and we need to change the reality. We do need to make sure that as we start to try to build better places, as we come into local communities, develop and work alongside them, we're doing that with them. We're listening to them, we're engaged with them, we're understanding their concerns, we're understanding what social value means to them. It's not our definition that's important, it's their definition. And that's the journey that we're on, and that's the agenda that we're trying to drive. And we do understand that the bar is getting ever higher, and probably that will be accelerated through COVID. You know, more and more will be expected of local businesses, of national businesses, in rising to the challenge of trying to recreate a better future coming out of the challenges that COVID has left with all of us. And that's not going to be a short process, that's going to be a long and painful process. But we want at the BPF, and I know I can speak for the UK Green Buildings Council too, we want to make sure that the real estate industry absolutely plays its part in that journey, absolutely as part of a positive future, and that we can all feel really, really proud of the contribution that we're making. Yes, to meeting the global target of getting to net zero carbon by 2050, but also to feel that every day in the work that we're doing around the country, we're making a positive impact on people's lives and we're actually adding value for local communities. We will increasingly be held to account to that. We've talked a little bit through the conference today about the different ways in which we're being asked to measure that. We're inventing and trying to find ways of measuring that. And I expect to see that evolution continuing too, and more being asked of us in terms of accounting for not only the hard metrics, the financial metrics, but also the softer metrics, the social value that we create, the social impact that we have, showing that we are a force for good and that we deserve to be trusted and that we deserve to have our license to operate in local communities. So that's a really exciting journey, I think. We've learned a lot through the course of this summit about how we can do that, how we can tackle and rise to that challenge from some really inspiring leaders. I hope that everybody who's managed to join us through the conference has found it useful too, has taken away lots of practical things that they can think about, lots of inspirational and motivational comment from leaders across the industry. And I hope you have all really found value from the summit, enjoyed it, and that you've taken away some valuable learning points for you. Thank you.